They're across the hall from us. Oh, we are. We switched.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. It's been a minute.
That's okay.
I know.
Did you have a good Memorial Day weekend?
I did. My husband's home, so
Hey.
yes, he's been home a week. So
Okay, the adjustment and.
Oh,
just
that's still going on.
Yeah.
That's still going on. But, no, it was good. Yeah.
Yay. Yay. I'm glad he's home.
Good.
I did that.
People waiting. Good morning. I have people coming on. It is Tuesday. It is May 28th, and we are on the last week of Ignite. Wow, I can't believe it. Just to give you kind of a preview of what is coming up. In June, we're going to have guests. We're going to have guests joining us. The guests that will be joining us will be, we're going to have Platinum Title here to talk about title commitments, about closing statements. We're also going to have an inspector come and spend time with you about what is the deal about home inspections and go through what they do and how they do it and the things you need to be aware of. Also, we will have Jason Larkins of Loans and KC, our own loan company, joining us and talking about the primary loan products that you need to build awareness of. Look at this. I've got basically a full house on Zoom. Love it. So glad to see you guys. And I'm pretty proud of you because yesterday was a holiday and sometimes we don't have the best attendance when it's the day after a holiday. Either people have had way too much fun or they're still getting back from the holidays. So I am going to post in GroupMe just to remind everybody right now, we're not doing Facebook Live. We're just doing in-person and Zoom. And then Billy, my assistant, is he is making certain that those recordings get posted. The Zoom recordings will be posted on Facebook. So he's got to get caught up on some. And then I've asked him to do it. Yes, he's still behind, Talon. And so he's working on his backlog. And then I've asked him going forward to make sure he gets them posted same day. So that way you can go back and find out. Join us for Ignite today in person or on Zoom. Okay. Now, those of you on Zoom, here's something that I haven't really pushed lately, but I really do like to see you on camera. Unless you're in a situation that either you're at work and you can't be on camera, or you've got a crazy little one in the room with you. But I like cameras on because this is not fun looking at a lot of black boxes. I'm just going to be real with you. So I like to see your faces. If you can join us, please do that because it's just more fun looking at people than it is little boxes. All right. So turn on your cameras if you can. Otherwise, we're going to get started. I'm going to share screen here so that we can get started on our Ignite, the last session, because we've got to get this done before the business meeting starts at 11. So let's go into the slideshow. Well, for some of you, you've been along the ride, the whole ride for Ignite, the last 20 weeks. So congratulations for hanging in there and showing up. I know that Connor's been to almost all of the sessions, and it's not his first time either. So that's the other thing I'm going to encourage you. There is so much information going on that for you to process all of it and to understand it all and to retain all of it, we know that's highly unlikely. Now, some of you might have amazing memories and you can do this, but most of us need that repetitive exposure to information and then go do it. So that's the thing about real estate. I'm going to encourage you so much. You've got to learn and do at the very same time. And for some of you, that's going to be not comfortable. You're going to be like, no, I've got to learn all this before I can go do it. Well, that's not how real estate's designed. It's 100% commission. Come on in, Redker. How are you?
Good, yourself?
Good. We've got a full house on Zoom, so come on in. You've got to be able to, because it's 100% commission, this industry is, you've got to be out there learning and doing at the same time. So we want you, that's why I'm going to touch on a couple of things here before we jump into the material. That's why we have the 5 weeks to success. That is your roadmap to get into production as soon as possible. And it is also the way you're going to build your database and start the marketing of your new business. So there are 3 key components to those 5 weeks to success. And that is building your database, getting everybody in your database, and then making sure they're tagged properly. And a lot of times, if not almost with every single one of you, you're going to have to gather more contact information. You don't have contact information on everybody in your phone. Highly unlikely. If you do, that's not normal. It's not bad, but it's not normal. We throw people on our phones and we get just a piece of information. Your job is to start filling that out, because your database, I can't tell you how important it is, or I can't emphasize enough how important it is. This is the future foundation of your growing business, is your database. And if you are not building it completely right now, and you just keep it a mixed bag of a little here, a little there, you're never going to get the return out of your database that you should be. And that will help you build a very stable and successful real estate business. Your database is that important. And I don't think we harp on it enough, to be real honest. So that database is what you should spend time on. And some of you are going to say, okay, well, I'll find all that contact information. I'll look it up. Stop it. You're not to be, the idea is you contact those people you don't have information for. You don't do this and then say, oh, my database is all full and I've got all the information, but I didn't talk to any of those people while I was doing that. The idea is the project for you, the homework for you, is build the database by connecting with the people who you're missing information, because it's a great reason to connect and just catch up with them. You don't have to go hardcore real estate on them. You don't have to breathe heavy real estate on them, but you need to get that information. And the best way to do that, connect. The second element of the 5 weeks of success is getting into real estate activity. We focus on open houses because we know that's one of the easiest things that you all can go do and get in front of potential buyers and sellers. Now, if you say, I don't want to do open houses, I won't do open houses, that's okay, but just know you're going to have to find another activity that will get you in front of about the same amount of strangers to get the potential to get business. So we just guide you towards open houses, but if that's not your thing, then get with your coach or ask me and we'll come up with a different strategy for you. The third key element of your 5 weeks of success is your marketing. The first marketing of your business is your announcements. And there is a full strategy, 7-step strategy in that announcement strategy. And there's a reason. Marketing principles. It's based on the marketing principles of no one recognizes a product, a name, or service until they've heard it a minimum of 7 times. So they're not going to remember you in real estate until there's repetition. And some of you are going to go, oh, but that seems so like over the top and that's not comfortable. Well, that's the only way it's going to stick. So announcing once is not enough. So make sure. And then the other thing that is tied to Ignite that you have to understand on the 5 weeks to success, it's based on the daily 10-4. And the daily 10-4 is what all of you should be doing in your first year, not just Ignite. Contacting 10 people a day, putting those 10 people in your database or the additional information that you got about them. They don't have to be 10 new people. Does that make sense? They can be the people in your phone. Actually, that's what I'd be doing right now is focus on that. Then you're going to write 10 notes to those 10 people you talk to, or text messages if you tell me I'm never going to handwrite a note. However, I want you to think a moment about and understand the power of a handwritten note in somebody's mailbox. Because it's unusual, because it doesn't happen every day anymore, it stands out and it's more special. And it doesn't have to be I'm talking a note with just a couple of sentences. Hey, it was great to catch up. I loved hearing about what you and the family are going to do over the summer break. That vacation to Colorado sounds great. I want to hear more. I want to see pictures, right? That's what you're going to do. And then the fourth element is you need to go preview 10 houses every week. You can knock out at least 2 to 5 on Tuesdays with Tuesday tour, depending on what's up for Tuesday tour. And then the rest you can schedule either by going through already existing open houses on the weekend or go previewing. If you're holding a house open, I hope you are previewing all the properties that are for sale surrounding that property. I hope you're looking at the property itself before you hold it open, if you can, because you've got to know what else is for sale around there. So those are the elements, the daily 10-4, 10 contacts, 10 in the database, 10 notes, text, and you're going to go see 10 properties over a week. Okay, let's keep going. Scan me, check in, do your check-in right now. Everybody scan, check in. Remember, if you're watching this and this is at a later date, you're watching this recording, I want you to check in also. That's how we as coaches know that you're watching these videos. And if you're watching the videos because you couldn't be on Zoom or you couldn't be in person, then I want you making comments while you're watching the video, okay? So if everybody would please scan, it is the 28th. This is Ignite 20. And the name of this one is Plan Your Future. All right, everybody get all checked in. There's a bit.ly there if you can't do the QR code because you're watching and listening on your phone. I'm fine with that. Okay. All right, let's look here. Okay, Connor, thank you for having your camera on. I appreciate. Everybody else might have just rolled out of bed and they're not letting us see what they look like, Connor. Okay, let's keep going. All right, this is the very last. We've been in the section of Ignite about transact business. And so this is Plan Your Future. So let's just jump in. Let's get going. We did the lead generation. We did the lead follow-up classes, and now we're in the transaction. And here we are at the very end. So here's what I want to tell you all. Ignite. I'm gonna give you a kind of what Ignite is. Ignite is the basics in a broad brush stroke. Okay, this is not deep. This is not detailed. This is to give you the picture of this business and the elements of it. We're going to dive in deeper to lead gen. We're going to dive in deeper to other elements in our trainings, but Ignite gives you the overview. So if you're thinking, oh, this seems really simple, or this is not that much meat on the, there's not that much meat on the bone in Ignite. I'm going to be honest with you. It is giving you the overall picture of the elements so that when we go diving deeper, it's going to make sense because you'll know how it works in the overall picture of things. Does that make sense? So I'm actually looking at making Ignite a recorded training so that we can just focus on the deeper stuff that you all will just knock out on your own for Ignite. And this is my 11th year of teaching Ignite, and I will tell you it has evolved over time. And this is probably, can I be honest? This is my second least liked version of Ignite. Over the years, they've kind of diluted it a little bit. So just know that we're going to dive deeper. That's why next month we're going to have speakers coming in talking about the different elements of the transaction that are going to be really great for you to hear from an inspector, to hear from a title company, to hear from a lender, that type of thing. So we'll start that digging deeper here real soon. Okay, let's just get going. I don't know if you noticed, and I know I've mentioned it before, but at Keller Williams, all of our training is going to touch on some head stuff, because how you think matters. How you think in the beginning really matters. Because is the start of real estate easy? Rutger? No. How about you guys online? I'm sorry, but you do have to participate. Yeah. Or is it hard?
Yeah, definitely got to know all the contracts, and there's a lot more to it than just, putting the sign in the yard and trying to list the property.
Yeah, I think because I think about this occasionally. I wonder, a lot of people think because the bar is pretty low to get into real estate, which I love. I love that the doors to real estate are open to more people than not. However, I think they think that means real estate is easy to do and run and build a business. And it's not. You have to know what you're doing. I tell people, you cannot do real estate on part-time knowledge. So kudos to you, Connor. You're one of our dual career agents that really plugs in a high way. And that speaks volumes, because if you're dual career, which many of our new agents are, you can't exist and build this business on part-time knowledge, meaning you don't dive into all of it. It's just like any job. Could you go work any other job and just know half of the job just because you had part-time hours? You can't. So real estate's the same. You've got to learn it. That's why you hear me pound on you that training is on you, and how you think about this and how you come into this business. I mean, you all are hearing a lot of noise out there in real estate right now about the lawsuit, about all this stuff, about interest rates and everything. How does that make you feel? Do you worry? Rutger saying, no, not really. Yeah, but I would think for some of you, okay, this is participatory. This isn't like hang out and just listen. Especially when I have this many people online. So how you come into this, and if you understand that your first year is your building year, it doesn't mean you won't make money in your first year, but you're going to work hard. And there are going to be times where you're going to go, nothing's happening, but I'm doing all the activities. Well, you've got to keep up the activities. What I see is the 90-day high. You come in your first 90 days and you're just like, you're in it, you're doing it, you're attending everything, you're doing your open houses, you're reaching out to your database, and in 90 days, you're like, nothing's happening. And some of you give up. You can't. You've got to keep the mindset that I'm going for the long game. This is not a short game. And the thing is, every time you're out there doing activities, you're planting seeds, you're doing seed bombs. Every time you do an open house, those are conversations that you didn't have before with people about real estate. And whether there was a connection or not, that was your start of getting better in your new skills and your new craft. Right? So how you think in the beginning really, really matters. Because if you think you can, or if you think you can't, you're right. What we tell ourselves makes a big difference. And that's the reason we spend so much time on what's in your head, because sales is really about the success. 90% of your success in real estate is going to be what's in your head. 10% will be your skill and knowledge. Get that? Most people fall down and fall out because they get discouraged and they give up. You have to have consistency and persistence to build, and if that's not already automatically inside of you, you got to build that muscle. Got to build that muscle. Let me let Matt in. Yeah, look at all these people showing up. Love it. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, how's it aligned with your heart? You know, like I said, the reason we do this and focus on your head is mindset, because how much of it matters. How do you feel about this new business and what your goals are? Are you ready to take action to have a successful day? Here's where I see a lot of people fall down. You don't start your day as a business person. You start your day like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do today. Well, I know what you should be doing, that 5 weeks to success. Keep doing that. And it shouldn't end at 5 weeks. That's just to get that momentum going. This business is built on momentum. And if you do not get in action, it will not grow, or it's highly unlikely. You might get lucky. Diana Kokoska, who was the head of Keller Williams International Coaching Program, MAPS, for many years, I was lucky to train with her and go to a lot of her trainings and hear her speak. She said, you know, almost every new agent has at least 3 deals in them through family and friends. It's then, what do you build outside of that? And you've got to go out and connect and talk to people. So you've got to come ready to show up and do the work. One of the best things I did as a new person, because I'd worked corporate world. Did you have to show up to work every day at your old job, Rutger? Yeah. So I didn't know any different. My ignorance actually was really good. I showed up to the real estate office every day. I was like, what do I do today? And I had little to no training, but I thought, I got to go to work every day. Well, I see a lot of people, and then here's the beauty of real estate. It does give you freedom and flexibility. But if there's no discipline put in there, there will be no financial opportunity. So make certain that you're not embracing the freedom and flexibility to such a degree that you're not doing the work. And remember, you cannot build this business on 10 hours a week. You can't. Whatever hours you put in your other job or your current job, you're going to have to start putting into real estate. And if you are part-time, dual career, I'm going to tell you, you have to put in a minimum of 20 hours a week to get this transitioning to full-time, if that's where you want to go. If you have a different goal in real estate, that's okay. But just know, if you want to make the transition, you have to put in the hours and not just wait to get lucky. So are you waking up every day for success? Are you time blocking your calendar so you're putting in the hours? You're going to get out of this business what you put into it. In the beginning, you got to work hard. I'm not going to lie to you. It doesn't serve any of us if I lie to you and say, oh, this is easy. Just do it when you feel like it. It doesn't quite grow that way. Doesn't quite grow that way. Okay. Let me go to the next one. And then, are you using, now other people, for your mindset, what gets you in the right mindset? Some of you do affirmations. Are you working on your limiting beliefs, those things that you're telling yourself when you come into this new career that, oh, I don't want to bother people, or, oh, people don't want to work with me. Oh, none of my friends can afford to buy a house. None of them? Well, what about their parents? So one of our very successful agents started when he was 18 years old. None of his friends were buying houses, okay? None of them. Guess who he helped? Their parents. Their parents. And then he went out and found strangers who didn't know he was just 18 years old. So there are people out there that need you. Are you setting your goals, and are you setting big enough goals to motivate you? You've got to have something that gets you up out of bed every day when you're self-employed, and that's not always easy. And sometimes we're going to say, I'm not feeling it. Can I tell you what this office looks like on a rainy day or a bad weather day? Can I tell you what it looks like? It's a ghost town, which is fine if you're home working. I have a feeling some people aren't. So what you put into it, you will get the return of. One of the things that you've been exposed to a little bit during Ignite is the KW belief system. So Y4C2Ts. I can't look at it because I can only say it because I memorized it, and it took me a long time because that's a tongue twister. The Y4C2Ts. And that is our belief system at Keller Williams. Win-win or no deal. Integrity, do the right thing. Your reputation in this business is so important, and we live in a tiny world of real estate. And if you are not doing the right thing by your clients and by others in the transaction, it gets around. You do not want to be the agent who has a black mark next to their name. And believe me, you will have a list. You will co-op with enough agents or lenders or title companies. You're like, nope, don't want to cross their path if I can help it ever again. Customers always come first. And here's what's hard. There are times you're going to have to, maybe in an initial listing appointment, Rutger, you're going to go in and talk to a seller. You're going to go over the estimated proceeds worksheet. You're going to find out they have not the wherewithal to sell their house right now, that they would be upside down and they can't even bring the money to the table. And so there may be times you're going to tell someone, I don't think now's your time. You might have a buyer that you can't get them pre-approved, or the lender can't get them pre-approved. And now or they have credit issues. So just know that you're going to have to do the right thing, and the customer always comes first. And can I be really honest that sometimes that's really hard, because when a transaction is going down, maybe it's for good reason that your buyer doesn't want to move forward on a house. It's going to hurt because you know that was food that's not cutting on the table as quick as you thought it was, or at all. So there is a conflict of interest at times. And I just want to be honest about that, because you're going to feel conflicted sometimes. Not that you're going to try to convince somebody to go forward and do the wrong thing, but just know sometimes you're going to have that conflict. It's going to hurt you as much as it's going to hurt them to lose a house. And so what I want you to do is build a business big enough that just one deal, your livelihood doesn't depend on one deal. In the beginning, though, it feels like that, because it is. Yeah, I remember my first deal. I had it within my first 90 days. Matter of fact, I got my first client from an open house in 14 days. Didn't know what I was doing, got lucky. The lucky factor blessed me. But then I didn't have another closing for 3 months. Woo! I thought, oh, this is great. This is easy, right? I was out there thinking, yeah, I can do this. And I'm like, what? And then I just ran even harder. Commitment in all things. You cannot, excuse my language, you cannot half-ass this. These are legal transactions, legal contracts, and you don't do the right thing. Yeah. Okay. Many of us, oh, I love this where, yeah, it's definitely daunting. Callie says, many of us have done multiple open houses and nothing. It is hard. But there are bites and nibbles that keep us going. Those open houses, every time you have an open house and you get nothing, I want you to dissect and figure out why didn't that happen. It's either location, it's either you didn't do enough legwork before you had that open house. Did you knock on the neighbors' doors? Did you invite enough of them? Did you promote it to your database and try to get as many people there? We have to drive traffic to these activities. And if we just put a sign in the yard, then So if you're doing them and nothing, then keep doing it. And it can be the people, you're getting turnout, but you're not converting anyone. Then I want you to look at what conversations are you having? Because then we know, usually as coaches, we know it's the scripts and dialogues that you're using are not connecting to the level that gets to the next step. Okay, so every time you're doing them, look at it at what could I have done better? What was missing? Did I just take an open house because it was offered on our Facebook page? Or did I really decide what houses I wanted to hold open because I was picky? Now, go ahead and take whatever's offered here in the beginning, just so you can start building those muscles. But I want to make sure you understand that open houses can be a great vehicle, but you've got to keep figuring out how to do them better and better and better. And then for some of you, I'll tell you, for some of you, open houses will not be your lead generation that will get you the biggest bang. And that's okay. We just know it's one of the easiest ways and one of the best ways overall of the new things that you can start doing that you can get results from. But for some of you, it will not be one of the things you focus on. Try them and see. Communication, seek to understand first. Oh, this is a big one. So I want you to, and it's hard. You're going to be in a transaction and you're going to think, oh, that co-op agent, they're whatever. You're jumping to conclusions, you're making judgments, and I want you to seek first to understand. Ask good questions, because you may not understand the reason that co-op agent is being so, I don't know, maybe not communicative. Maybe they seem like they're all stressed out. Maybe they've got a really difficult client who's just got them on the brink of insanity. Seek to first understand. Do not jump to conclusions. One of the things that's really common is we'll jump to a conclusion that the co-op agent knew, whatever the scenario is. And sometimes our clients don't tell us everything. Like a listing agent, there are times I had to learn the hard way. My sellers didn't tell me everything. And then I found out during a transaction, and then it looked like I was hiding something, and I did not know. So I always, with another agent, unless they have really shown me that they are not someone who's trustworthy, I'm going to seek to understand, because a lot of times they didn't know, and they're going to be sideswiped just like you. I had that happen on a house. We're doing inspections for my buyer. My buyer was chatting with the next door neighbors. The next door neighbor says, hey, they did a great job after their basement flooded and remodeling. My buyer looks at me. I look at my buyer, and we're like, that wasn't on the seller's disclosure. I call the listing agent, who I knew very well. And I can tell she was like, she goes, I will get back with you. She had no idea, and she didn't appreciate the surprise either. So creativity, ideas before results, teamwork. Together, everyone achieves more. If you think you're going to do this business all by yourself, you're wrong. It takes a village to get something to the closing table. And that's good and that's bad. So you've got to make sure that you're making certain that everything is going forward and being moved forward, even on the other side. And sometimes you're going to think you're getting in the other side's business, but I'm going to tell you right now, you have to, because you've got to make sure everybody's doing their job. Even if you don't know everything that they do, you just got to be checking in and saying, hey, are we set for our closing on June 3rd? Do you have everything you need? Is everything going smoothly? Is anything holding us up? Trust starts with honesty. If you make a mistake, and you will in real estate, in a transaction, the best thing you can do is go be honest with the people you need to let know immediately. If you try to hide it, if you try to work on it and not tell people, and then it doesn't work out. And then you've got to tell them, you need to be honest with people right away. And I find this, that sometimes I've seen this in new agents where they panic. Something goes wrong in a transaction and they're like, oh, and then they shut down and don't tell anybody. And then days go past when it could have probably been resolved if they said, hey, here's what happened. We're all going to make mistakes. You're going to all miss something in the paperwork. Even when we look at it and review it, something's going to go wrong. And please know that most things are fixable. Some things aren't, but most things are fixable when it comes to the transaction. But you cannot hide it, and you've got to just let people know immediately so that if it can be fixed, it can be fixed. But a lot of times it's a timing thing. Equity, opportunities for all, and success results through people. Like I said, you're not going to do this by yourself. This is not, although this feels like kind of a lonely, isolating journey at times, being a solo practitioner, you still need a lot of people to get to the finish line. Those are the Y4C2Ts. Anybody want to, sometimes I go to some trainings where we have contests on if everybody can list all of those. I'm going to be honest, I can list most of them, but inevitably I'll always miss one or two of them. I'm like, oh, dang it. I'd love to say I've got them all memorized. Well, and we added too, the equity and success. Those were added. That's good. Here we go. Oh, we talked in the very beginning of Ignite, and some of you weren't here at the time, but one of the things you have to figure out is your value proposition. That is, Rutger, that's your elevator speech. Why are you an agent and what do you provide? Why should I go with you? And you think, oh, that sounds kind of corny. You do need that. And going into the current climate we have with buyers and us being buyers agents and having to be totally transparent, and that consumers have heard more about real estate and what we do and how we do it, even though some of it's not real and they've heard some bad information. But then we have to counter that. And if you can't say, you know, what I love is your background in numbers and accounting, Rutger. So you should be in your elevator speech being able to say, you know, one of the things I bring to a transaction is I'm really good with numbers. So I'll make certain that we're on task and not missing anything. And that means I can get you to closing and fulfill what you hired me to do. So something along those lines. For all of you that are new, take something from your past that you've been really good at, and most likely you can apply it to real estate. There are very few things that you can't. If you've been a project manager, whatever that is, if you've been a teacher, I can guide and teach you through this. That's what I'm good at, is bringing people from not having any knowledge to something to having comfort, and keep it as least stressful as possible, because I'm really good at explaining things. And some of this is a little bit complex in going through this legal transaction. So having your value proposition, and we actually did in an earlier Ignite session, have you write your value propositions. So I'm going to tell you all, if you didn't do that exercise earlier, or you started it and didn't finish it, because you've got to know what you're going to say. Because otherwise you're just another nice agent. If you cannot articulate what makes you different, it doesn't have to be like nobody else is like this, but what is special about you? What makes you stand out? What are you willing to do? And how do you run your business? That's important to people, and you've got to articulate it. And then you've got to be confident about sharing it. Practice it on family members. Practice it on friends until it's just something that you say, this is what I bring to the table. When you work with me, this is the experience you're going to get, right? So don't skimp on this and think, well, this is hooey and just fluff. It's not, especially in our current environment. If you can't say how you're different, then they'll skip you for somebody else because you were nice. but they didn't see anything, special in you. You didn't say anything that caught their attention that they're like, oh yeah, that's important to me. I would want that in an agent. So revisit your big life. We talked about your big why, and you'll hear us talk about your big why. It's part of your business plan. It's the first tab in the business plan, and it is, why'd you get into real estate? Rutger, why'd you get into real estate? What do you want real estate to provide for you and your family and your future?
The reason I got into real estate was, primarily it's normally someone's largest purchase that they make. And so I really want to help people understand and choose what's right for them. And one of the things that I have going for me is I've been in accounting and finance. And so I bring, again, numbers to the table. I understand numbers, and I also understand what's affordable and what's not. And I want to get someone into a house that they can truly afford and not have to worry about it going forward, or if something happens in their life. And so they don't have to think if something goes wrong, then they might, have to
Sell their house or
sell
lose
the
their
house,
house.
exactly, or lose their house
Yeah.
and foreclose. So that's like the big reason I went into.
To be able to help people. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anybody else? Connor, Matt, Autumn, Callie, Talon, why'd you get into real estate?
Yeah, mine's a little similar as well, to kind of help people find their dream home, or just a home, and also to make a little more, money on the side as well from my primary job.
Yeah, love that. I love that. So everybody has a different big why, and a big why usually isn't just one thing. It can be financial. It can be you wanting to have your own business. It can be to help people. It can be to fund your future, right? Gary Keller says this: real estate should be your financial vehicle to get you anywhere you want to be, even if that's not the ultimate goal, is not real estate. This can be one of the fastest financial vehicles to increase your income, even though the first year doesn't feel that way. It feels like the longest, but it can truly be one of the fastest ways to increase your financial situation of any business you could go start, right? So think about what is it, why, because why you need to be thinking about why am I doing this? Because there's going to be days you wake up and you're not going to want to do it. It's just human nature. You're going to be like, I don't want to do this today. There are days where, deals go down in flames, and the next day I could barely get out of bed. I felt like I just was driven off a cliff. And I was like, I didn't know how to recover. Then I had to learn how to recover. You know what I used to do? I'd say, okay, I can't be in the ditch for a week. I can have a pity party for like 24, 48 hours at the max, and then I got to get back to work. So I'd allow myself to have the pity party, because you need a little bit, when you get hit hard and you lose a deal, it sucks. It sucks. So I'd allow myself to have the pity party, and then I had to move on. But I had to know why I got up in the morning to do this job, because there is no boss except you. And a lot of us are not very good bosses. We're not. Let's be honest. You say, oh, when I talk to you all about pivot shift ahead, I don't know how many of you say 7 o'clock. Well, that's too early. Well, when do you start your day? And then, are you starting your day, and does your day really start at noon in real estate? And then you wonder why your business isn't growing as fast as you wanted it to grow. Let's be real. I'm a realist. I don't want to sugarcoat this and make it look so easy for you that you don't have to put in the work. And you do. But if you know why you're doing it, that keeps you going even through the times where you're like, I don't know if I like this very much. I can tell you most days I love real estate, but there have been times where I thought, what the hell am I doing? Either it's a crazy client that I'm like, oh my God, what is wrong with them? Or it's been a hard deal. And I probably, if I did my hourly rate, I would be depressed. I've spent 5 months with these people and we're just under contract and now they want to cancel during inspections. Are you kidding me? Over tiny things. I'm like, are you kidding me? I want to kill somebody. But if I know why I'm doing this, then I'm like, okay, I got to keep going because there are more people that need my help than the people that are a pain in the you know what. Okay. One thing all high achievers have in common is they are working for a big why. The big why is about having a purpose, a mission, or a need that in turn gives you focus. A need that in turn gives you focus. Because I see a lot of unfocused, and I get it in the beginning. Like Autumn and David, who are on Zoom this morning. This is their first time plugging in. And I know it feels overwhelming and just this massive information coming at you in the beginning. And you're like, what am I supposed to do with all this? And you've got to, that's why that 5 weeks to success. Yes, there are volumes of information coming at you full speed ahead. And then you got to just focus. And some of it's going to go right on by you, but know that you're going to have to learn it. It's just maybe that's what you shouldn't be focusing on right now. Just kind of listen a little and move on. Here's what I got to do. Here's what I got to do. Keep your focus. And in this world of, well, there's the saying, Rutger, we say, if you didn't have ADHD before real estate, you will now. And part of that is because we wear all of these hats as a new business owner, and we're doing all this stuff we've never done before. And I know multitasking, it has been proven not to be a good way of focusing, but you're going to have to multitask and somehow focus. So be prepared. For those of you who see a squirrel and in 2 seconds or less, like me, I can, squirrel. Something new and shiny, it'll get my attention. We say in real estate, we have a lot of squirrels. There are a lot of us. We're going for the new and the shiny. Stay on focus. And it's going to be hard some days. It's just hard as human nature. Why? Because you are after extraordinary results for the big. And it's the reason why you get up every day and do what you do. So make sure that your goals are big enough to drive you. Now, you're going to be the one who's going to decide with your coach what those goals look like. Some of you are going to have big, audacious goals. Some of you are going to have small goals. Some of you are going to have goals that you think you can achieve and you don't want a stretch goal. So I'm not saying that you have to have big, audacious goals because for some of you that will not motivate you, that will defeat you because you're going to think I'm never going to get there. So your big why has to fit you. Your goals have to fit you, not someone else. Keep that in mind. Big why powers a big life. And a big life, Rutger, your big life is different than mine. I know it right without even hearing yours. I know that ours is not going to be the same, and that's A-okay. That's A-okay. Okay. The 6 core competencies of a business. You should have these memorized. This is what you do as a real estate professional, as a business owner. You lead generate, you capture and convert leads to appointments. You present to buyers and sellers and get agreements. That's buyers, consultations, listing appointments, and you get agreements signed. You convert them. You show buyers and you market sellers' listings. You write and negotiate contracts. You coordinate the sale to closing. And you manage money, your money. Too many agents start making money and they think they're rich the day they get that commission check, because it's probably for many of you the biggest lump sum you're going to get in one check. But remember, it's probably been a while since you had the last check. So don't go out and think you're rich and spend it all. You've got to understand, how much do I need to put aside for taxes? How much do I need to put back into the business? And in the beginning, you're not going to put a lot back in the business. And I get it. If on your first check or two, you've got to use all that money to catch up on stuff or things you've had to put off because you hadn't made money. But remember, if you didn't set aside the money for taxes in the first two, you've got to be at least cognizant of what should have been set aside, because that bad boy will catch up with you. And believe me, I'm gonna confess it happened to me. My husband and I, my former husband and I, he was also in real estate, and he said, "Oh, it's okay. We don't have to pay our quarterly taxes. We'll be fine." Well, was it fine? Because when it came time to do our taxes for that year, we owed IRS $20,000 more than we estimated. Had to go on the payment plan with IRS. Can I tell you that's not fun? Can I tell you many agents do this because they don't think of this as a business? I was not taught as a new agent. This was not put in front of me. I wasn't taught how to run this as a business. I was just taught how to be an agent. And that was dangerous. So I had to get a handle on this. And I also said, I'm never doing this again. This was not fun. It was too stressful. And I didn't ever want to be in that position again. So this is what you do. And this is what the areas that you have to get better in and learn more about and build skill and knowledge. Anything outside of this is probably fluff, or you're getting off focus. Make sense? Where do your commission dollars go? I want to make sure you guys know, where do the commission dollars go? Because you're going to see on your commission letter, it's going to have the lump sum, and you're going to go, look at what I'm going to make. And then you're not going to be happy when you see it all divided up. You're going to go, what? The office gets that much? Keller Williams International gets that franchise royalty fee? And oh my God, Launch gets this much? So you got to know that when you see that gross amount, make sure you understand what the net amount is so that you're not setting yourself up for disappointment. You know, when you were getting paid a salary, it was already figured out what got taken out. So you knew how much you were getting, most likely, Rutger, right?
Mhm.
So you didn't really obsess about what was taken out every week.
Mhm. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I knew, yeah. I knew.
Because it was already, because you weren't getting the
Right.
bulk amount and then it taken out, and then you felt like something was taken away. Even though at times when you go in to pay your taxes, like, I paid that much in taxes? Wow. But we don't feel the pain as much. Whereas when we're self-employed and we're doing commission splits, it's gonna be more visible, and you're gonna feel it more because you're thinking, I'm making this big old. Remember, there's a difference between the gross and the net. And to make sure that you all know that, so that you don't get all crazy when it comes to that commission letter and your payout, and you're like, what just happened to all of my money? Well, some of it's gonna come out. You split commissions, and you got to be aware of that. And like I said, there's the other agent, especially if it was a co-op, your market center, business expenses, taxes, and what you take home. Okay. Financially sound or unsound. That's again where I said you've got to be aware of what should you be putting aside. Here you go, a commission of 9,000 paid. You got 5760. How much should go in your personal? Well, look, they put everything in their personal account and not their business account. You need to be opening a business account, and then you need to put aside money for taxes. So that is one of the things. Self-employment taxes, you need to decide, do I need to incorporate into an LLC or an S Corp? Get professionals to advise you on that, because self-employment taxes, that's the other place you're not going to like it. Self-employment taxes are higher than what you were taxed when you were employed. And then you're going to go, what? I'm just trying to get you ready for this. And if you incorporate, that can lower that self-employment tax. I'm not a tax expert, so you need to talk to experts. Money is good for the money that it can do. So don't get all into, well, you can, into what money can buy for you. But also, we want you to be thinking of what good can I do with this money? Because again, like I said, you have the opportunity to probably make more money if you work hard than you've ever made before. But I will tell you, all of our high performers and earners in this office work their tushes off. Now, almost all of them have incorporated the leverage they need and the help so that they're not doing everything themselves, because you get to that level and you should not be doing your paperwork. You should not do some of that. You should not putting signs in the yard. You should have people to help you with all of that. Flow of the money, make sure you know you have expenses. Even though as a new agent, your expenses are pretty low, you should be aware of what those expenses are. What are your average real estate costs every month? Remember, you paid your dues and you've got MLS, you got Supra and all of that, then your mileage. You got to be aware you are spending money in real estate and you want to make sure that you're tracking those. How can I minimize expenses to maximize net income? That's what's beautiful about real estate. Most of this you can do with sweat equity. So do the hard work so you can start affording to do things. Cost of sales. This is where you're going to learn about the cost of sales and the operating expenses. Again, I'm not going to go into all of these, but I want to expose these to you so you can start thinking like a business owner. Because if that hasn't sunk in yet, you've got to let it start sinking in. I'm not just an agent and I'm a business owner. I got to think of all of this stuff because you want to be profitable at the end of the day. Too many agents get that big commission check and then they put it in with their personal money and then it's gone. They spend it. They spend it and have no way to look. Actually, it was probably about 8 years ago, Gary Keller at our big conventions, we'd have these mega agents on the stage. And somebody pointed out to Gary, well, you had so-and-so up on the stage, but they're not profitable. Yeah, they sell a lot of houses, but they're not profitable. And now Gary requires everybody who gets up on that stage, he has to see their P&L. Because we don't want just people up there who sell a lot of houses. We want people up there that are selling a lot of houses and running a good business. Because it means nothing if they're not profitable at the end of the day. Make sense? So being self-employed, you got to learn all of this. Best practices, gain clarity on your big why, set up your personal and business accounts, different additional accounts for taxes, expenses, other savings. Download David's MREA business plan, which you all will create. Actually, we create it for you and you're going to go over it with your coach. We don't push it really hard in the beginning because it isn't overwhelming. But if someone like you, Rutger, who numbers really resonate, you want to get in that, then you let your coach know, let's work on my business plan sooner than later. Because I think you would really like that. Hire an accountant, set date for your estimated taxes and prepare for the future, the insurance, savings, and investments you want to make. Think and act the wage you want before you earn it. Average is as average does. Good is as good does. And great is as great does. What you do is who you become. I love that. I love that. Actually, that's the quote we're going to end on. I tell people this, once you start working this business, in 6 months, Rutger, I want to ask yourself, when you say how much you want to make in this first year, I want you to ask yourself in 6 months, would I hire someone for that pay for the work that I'm doing? Meaning, am I doing enough to make that goal? Most common goal of a new agent, guess what many of you choose for your first year, how much money you want to make? What's the most common number?
6 figures.
100,000. Great. I love big goals, but are you going to do the work to do that? Because that's a lot of work in your first year. It is less work your second year because you have momentum in your business. But that's a lot of work, and it's not that it's not doable, but I'm not going to tell you that's going to be, oh, you can do a little here, a little there, right? that's what we're trying to do as coaches, help you understand the amount of work you need to do to get to this goal. And then you decide if you're willing to do that. And if not, then adjust your goal. But you've got to act and think the wage you want. And if you're not acting that way, then you're not going to make that goal. So let's choose a different goal that's going to be, you got to own that number, not because it just sounds good. So think and act the wage you want before you earn it. All right. Any questions, comments, or anything before we go to business meeting? Okay, everybody online, you've been way too quiet. And thank you, Matt, and thank you, Connor, for having your videos on, your cameras on. Thank you. It's better than boxes. And for those of you who weren't prepared to know that Kristen asked to see your lovely face when you're on Zoom, you are now warned.
Thanks, Kristen.
You're welcome. Go get on the Facebook page for the business meeting, and I will still see you guys on Thursday. You get me twice this week, like it or not. Bye.
Thank you, bye.
Thank you.
Bye.